Dancing, it's written in the stars.
Max Verstappen, you are world champion.
Dancing, it's written in the stars.
so it's quite a wide shot, so yeah, just however you feel comfortable.
In a second, I'm going to give you a thumbs up, but I'm only going to do that when the OB stream is live. Okay, from there. Look for you. Oh wow, that's what Sonia wanted. She wanted. We had 400. We had to actually message it. We can't have 12 people.
Yeah, no, we're good, yeah. Sorry, as long as you guys are happy. Phil. I'm Thomas. I'm Buffy.
Hi, how are you?
Lovely to meet you, Thomas.
Likewise.
This is our esteemed.
It's funny, it's the whole thing of like prepping the day, and then it's the hour calm before, and then you've got to remember every move that you do. It's quite dynamic.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Now, many of you can't actually see me physically, but you will be able to see me and Christina. It's much more worthwhile seeing than me through the screens.
Oh, I think we have a mic issue.
Your mic issue. Anyway, welcome to Garden Studios. It is really rather amazing to see so many of you here. When we set up Garden Studios, the idea was to create a film studio just the way we would like a film studio to be. Having been in and out of studios for many, many years, the opportunity to try to think about them in the way which we always wanted them to be. And one of those criteria is that you want a studio filled with geeks. And tonight, I feel we've reached a sort of a new apex in our existence with filling this space with geeks. And I think it's also a little bit to note that as an industry, we have come a long way. It feels like yesterday we were fumbling around at Rebellion Studios trying to figure out what this virtual production stuff was all about. And some of you are here tonight who were fumbling with us. It is rather remarkable that we have come so far. We use virtual production, I think, a little bit too much. It is more of a catchphrase of how technology-enabled film production is transforming how we tell stories, and I think that is also a great way to think about how we use that as a catalyst for rethinking all aspects of how we tell stories, and who tells stories, and how they're told. And that is a really exciting element of what we're trying to do. So for those of you who have been around Garden Studios, you may have seen some of our other studios. We have some traditional sound stages, and we also have a virtual production stage, which is a much smaller volume than this. And we also have now some training stages, and we will also launch soon a R&D stage, but I'm not going to talk about that tonight. But we are going to talk about something else in a minute, and that is that we thought that it was too great an occasion to set this up, not to do something more. Can I?
I think you should.
So we have been very excited about getting to know the team from Anna Valley, and we have partnered up. So a reconfigured version of this will be here for the foreseeable future, or for the starting in beginning of March. It will be here, and we have a few shows coming in, and it will be here ongoing, and it will also have a ceiling. It will be a 30-meter horseshoe, but configurable space. And I think that's what we need to learn more about. Is how do we configure? How do we adapt to shows? And how do we think about all of those things? But those we can talk about some other time.
Indeed. And if anyone has any questions about that, how it's going to look, designs, capabilities, please ask Garden and Anna Valley at the end of the show. They'd be delighted to fill you in.
And I think that I would also then just finally say from our side is that we have a very open door policy. Anyone who wants to come here to learn, to try something, to talk about any kind of show in any stage of development, we are wide open for that. Anything, and that also means that that goes for students, that goes for
Yes.
professionals, and that goes for all kinds of creatives.
Independent filmmakers, people that are new to virtual production, everybody is welcome to come visit. So whether you want to have a booking on the smaller stage, R&D, training, or have a look at the larger volume, go for it. This is your chance to have some accessibility.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christina, who's got much more exciting things to say, but I would like to then say once again, welcome to here.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to
Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming to the biggest virtual production show ever. I have checked that. I think it genuinely is. Anyway, so we have some spectacular displays this evening, full of dramatic performances, emphasis on dramatic, conducted by some of the most talented people in the industry. Between each set, we're going to go through key insights and critical learnings of what may happen or what may come up, what you may need to or want to know when working in a virtual production setting. Then we will conduct a live Q&A with the audience and our live stream audience. So your fine selves will be involved. So please take that opportunity to put your hand up. We'll have some people with mics coming through, so use that opportunity. Whilst I have your attention, I'm going to address health and safety. We have toilets on the left, upstairs and downstairs. I feel like an air hostess, just so you know. We got the fire exits on the right, and this is actually a live set. So mind the cables on the floor, please be aware. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our showman, Nana Yao.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ube, Guara, bring it from Holland to Ghana, UK, London to Naja, Angola, Caverdiana. Ube, Guara, bring it from Congo to Zambia. Senegal.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the SMPTE Showcase 2023. The energy is not doing it for me. I said, welcome to the SMPTE Showcase 2023. Now we're talking. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Nana Yao Osafo Kantanka Chemating. I am both your showman for tonight and a first-year MFA acting student at Lambda. Yes, the Lambda that have produced actors like Benedict Cumberbatch, Ruth Wilson, Brian Cox, David Oyelowo, and technicians like Ting Ying Dong, a recent graduate who just finished sound designing her first show at the National Theatre. Let's give it up for... And Howard Panther, who founded the Ambassador Theatre Group and now runs Trafalgar Entertainment. So, okay, whoa, let's give it up for Howard. So, although we are known for training actors, what people do not know is that we also train some of the best theater technicians, designers in the world. But enough about those who have come before us. Tonight, I will be joined by my classmates, Tamara Graham, Eve Cowley, Tanaka Mpofu, Mandisa Beleni, and soon to be graduating actor and choreographer, Lisa Marie Esiedu Yeboah. And we will be playing on the volume for the first time ever. You may well be asking, why Lambda? As well as the aforementioned excellence, it's also because last year, some overworked staff took a cheeky day off to attend the SMPTE conference at the BFI. Excited by the technology, a few weeks later, they put together a bid. And as a result of that bid, I have exciting announcement to make. Now, there have been some whispers in the corridors and a rogue social media post or two, but it has been gifted to me to share the news that the Office for Students have awarded Lambda, drum roll please, drum roll, 1.9 million pounds. The money is to buy theater lights, sound desks, cameras, and tracks, and hugely excitingly for us, a virtual production stage with LED volume. And there is more, a mocap studio on site at Lambda's campus in Hammersmith. There is so much to absorb in these emerging technologies. So the showcase today is a celebration of what you know and what we are eager to learn. This technology will revolutionize how we work at Lambda, from shooting scene studies in rehearsal rooms and films on location locally. We will soon be able to shoot in the Sahara, New York, or in the future. This is going to be great for all of us because the volume will expand our storytelling possibilities and allow us to tell diverse stories from across the globe. And if we, the education sector, harness this technology carefully, we can democratize storytelling, develop international relationships, and train the actors, makers, and technicians of the future to work in VP. It's kind of unreal. I see some of you got my VP joke. Okay. Honestly, this technology has already changed the course of our training. And this is just the beginning. So please, sit back, turn off your phones, and enjoy watching some actors work, some experts talk, and watching Lambda on the volume for the very first time. Are we ready?
Jen? Is it really you? I can't believe it.
Must be quite a surprise.
Are we not still friends?
The last time I saw you, you gave me a blaster and a knife and told me to wait in the bunker until daylight.
I knew you were safe.
You left me behind.
You were already the best soldier in my battalion.
I was 16.
I was protecting you.
You dumped me.
You were the daughter of an Imperial science officer. People were starting to figure that out. People who wanted to use you as a hostage. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. But today, of all the days, it's a trap, isn't it?
What?
The pilot, the message, all of it. Did they send you? Did you come here to kill me? There's not much of me left.
The Alliance wants my father. They think he sent you a message about a weapon. I guess they think by sending me, you might actually help them out.
So what is it that you want, Jen?
They wanted an introduction. They've got it. I'm out now. The rest of you can do what you want.
You care not about the cause?
The cause? Seriously? The Alliance, the rebels, whatever it is that you're calling yourself these days. All it's ever caused me is pain.
You can stand to see the Imperial flag reign across the galaxy.
It's not a problem if you don't look up.
I've something to show you. Come.
Okay, so to set the ball rolling, I just want to say, when I decided to do this, I was given a 2-page document of all the VP advances in the last year, and I remember looking at it like, excuse me, ma'am, I thought this was supposed to be in English. So we decided that I would do some, talking instead. Some interviewing and get some experts to talk. So I want to say welcome, Richard from Epic Games. We have Connor from Framestore, and then we have Hannah from Final Pixel. So I'm going to start very basic so that the people in the room and also online, hi mom, can get a very basic understanding of what all of this is. So my first question is, what is a virtual production wall?
I'd like to say hi to your mum too. So a virtual production LED wall, or we call it a volume, is part of the formula that goes together to bring virtual production to life. So Final Pixel are servicing the on-set virtual production team, and that goes from the LED wall, Anna Valley's LED wall, that is being processed by Brompton, and then the content is being generated by Disguise from Unreal. We've got camera tracking by Moses that will be taking the angles and the positioning of the camera and then telling Unreal what to be able to see in this big window into the digital world that we're given. And then what that means is you can shoot on location in a studio, which is super. So basically what Final Pixel are doing in this is bringing all of the wise geniuses that are experts in bringing this formula together and making it nice and smooth.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Richard, I have a question for you. What is ICVP?
So back when LED wall shooting started to become popular, the term ICVFX, in-camera visual effects, was coined. And we've since kind of found that folks across the film industry are sometimes slightly off-put by that term because they assume that that shooting on an LED wall is entirely a visual effects process and job, and it isn't. It's a collaboration between the cinematographer, the production design, and the VAD, the virtual art department, who make the content that comes on the screen. And so we think ICVP, in-camera virtual production, is a better term and also isn't 100% different to what was there before.
Got it, got it. So, okay, so when I got the two-page document, right, what fascinated me the most was Lumen, right? So can you elaborate so the room and people online can know what that is?
Yes, so Lumen is a technology for the rendering in Unreal that was added in 5.1, which was released in November last year. At least it was added for LED wall shooting in November last year. And what it is it's a technical solution for the simulation of light bouncing around and scattering in the scene, and you saw it in use on that last scene that was on the wall. Right. What it does is it allows a cinematographer to change the lighting of the scene on the wall and have it update almost in real time, almost instantly. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, that's tremendously powerful for outdoor scenes. There are some limits for indoor scenes. We found in our testing that about 5 to 7 lights is a good guide limit, and that varies based on how powerful the computer that's doing your rendering is. So for indoor scenes, you might have to use what's called light baking, which takes between 5 and 20 minutes to update the shadows in the scene if you make substantial changes to the lighting. So Lumen, when it can be used, is transformative for that because you don't have to wait those 5 or 20 minutes. You can see your updates almost instantly.
Which is amazing. And so you're saying if, for example, you're shooting at noon, right, and you want to shoot a different time of the day, you can make that happen.
Yes, you can, and hopefully we'll be able to show you a bit of that later as well.
Amazing, that's awesome. So what is Nanite?
So Nanite is another technology in Unreal that we added in Unreal 5. What it is a solution for allowing you to import the most detailed models that you can generate into the engine, and the engine then filters all of the detail in them and only uses the level of detail that's needed for the object that's at the distance you're seeing it. Previously, you would have had to sort of author that kind of thing by hand. And so what this technology does is it allows you to focus on the photorealism and the detail and worry less about the optimization passes you have to do.
Nice, thank you so much. And Connor, I know Epic work a lot with Framestore. So can you tell us something about Framestore? What do you do?
Yeah, of course. So Framestore have a London HQ, which is where I'm based. It's a award-winning creative studio. So we cover many elements across production, also rides and commercials and other such things. We have a Framestore pre-production services, which is more on the visualization side. So, and that's where our virtual production department falls in as well. And then we also have our own tool sets, so Farsight, that also basically fall within that department so we can offer the best solution possible, basically.
Nice. So what kind of projects have you worked on?
So obviously we provided these lovely content that you're seeing on the wall here. We have done other such projects as recent, at least, that I can talk about, because obviously, as we all know, NDAs are a thing. Yes. Barbie we worked on. There have been, within our wider company, there's been Moon Knight and Fantastic Beasts. And then one that might be a bit more prevalent in people's minds at the minute is 1899 on Netflix. So that was shot in Babelsberg in Berlin, and it was a large LED volume, around 55 meters, 52 meters wide, and we shot almost the entirety of the show up against that, give or take. But yeah.
Amazing. So that's it. You know, I don't have any more questions for you. So thank you so much. This makes a little more sense now. Next up, we have our second Lambda performance. It's going to be intense because I'm in it. So let's go. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Who am I? The girls them sugar. How can I make love to a fella in a rush? Pass me the keys to my trucks. Who am I? The girls them lock. And I, we make love to precious. But you ever buck a girl with deep like a bucket. Draw for your niggle like your niggle can't stitch it. Draw for your oxen like a cow you
Careful, this that war, this that bloodline. On the front line, ready for war. Where you gonna run? Get it loose, get it low, get it low. Why you get it loose, get it loose, get it low, get it low. Oh, oh, gotta protect my grace, keep it locked in the safe. Don't make me get back to my ways. My power they never take.
Don't never take my power, my power, my power. Don't never take my power, my power, my power. They feel away, oh wow. They feel away, oh wow. Don't never take my power, my power, my power. Don't never take my power, my power, my power. They feel away, oh wow. They feel away, oh wow.
Which of you designed this trick? Then you will all be punished.
I did it.
It was all of us.
No. It was me. I apologize.
Once again. Go back to the barracks. How did you make this explosion?
You don't need a gun to use gunpowder. You just need a spark.
But you like the guns. You enjoy practicing with the young men in the infantry. I see you flirting.
This is not allowed.
You know it is not.
The men who are soldiers have wives, children, but the Agotier cannot. This does not seem fair.
Were you this arrogant with your family? No wonder they gave you away.
I think it is you who are arrogant.
I am a general. I have earned it. I should put you out.
No! Please.
I've watched soldiers die because they were not disciplined. Their easy life did not prepare them.
I did not have an easy life. I want to be here with my sisters. I want to fight for my king.
Your tears mean nothing. To be a warrior, you must kill your tears. Go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mandisa Beleni and Tanaka Impofu. I want to take this opportunity to thank my Lambda classmates, including sound student Callum Watson, lighting students Jennifer Garland and James Imber, dancers Jade Robert, Sam Bampo Parry, Giovanna Lewis Rowe, and Rebecca Matundu. We know that in the coming years, Lambda will have relationships with many of the people in this room and online. We want to work with you on new and exciting projects and can't wait to do so. I'm going to hand over the next part of the evening to Ace Ruo at Creature Bionics and Target 3D, and we'll finish with an audience Q&A. I'll see you at the bar for a drink or two. Ace.
I have a question. Is this it? What you see on these screens now, is this the goal that we're all trying to achieve? I mean, me being me and you being you, but at the same time, we can become anyone or anything. Why is it that humans are so eager to escape this reality? I mean, this beautiful world that was given to us as a gift. You know, the womb moving through darkness, but we are bounded by her laws. Maybe it's just our curiosity. Maybe it is our desire to be free. Or maybe we have become so disconnected with nature that we wish to create a world where we no longer have to be bound by nature's laws, but not without the narrative of being in control of the experience of others. Maybe I'm just overthinking. Maybe this is humanity's destiny. Besides, I kind of love what I've become. The question is, will you love what you become when the time comes? But I am tired. I'm tired of hiding behind these walls, behind these curtains. I just want to be free. That is more like it. And now I see you as you now see me. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. So my name is Ace Ruel, and I am the director of Creature Bionics. And Creature Bionics is a character production company that focuses on creature and fantasy character performance. So what we do is we work with productions on helping them to get the best performance from their creatures and fantasy characters. So that could come from doing character dev, that could come from doing mocap, as you can see here with Target 3D, the beautiful team that set this whole rig up. And we brought our practical effects, which is what my company made, which are monster legs. And if you see my little tail, you know, we do a little wag right there. See my tail right there. And what we do is we think from the actor's perspective and how can we get the actor to be the most closest to the skeleton of their character? How can we help the actor to embody their character and at the same time provide better VFX reference and better mocap data? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come over there to the virtual production stage, and what I'm going to do is give you a comparison of two videos. Same character that you see over there, and you're going to see what I done as a performance when I had none of this on, and a performance when I had it on. And we're just going to do generic stuff because in reality it's easy to do the fancy stuff, but in the world of motion capture, we want to see the generic stuff, how you walk, your idles, your turns. These are the things that are most important, especially for video games. So this mocap's going to break because once I leave the volume, it's over. So say goodbye to this live character. Bye, everybody. Bye. Okay, let me take this off. And I'm going to walk over here. Cool. Yes. So, hello, everyone, again. I'm now on the virtual production stage now, okay? So what I'm going to show you in this video is basically what me and Target, we were doing. It was just testing out how we can tell the difference between using the rigs and what's the importance and what's the benefits. And the reason why, like I said, it's all about how can we ensure that the actor delivers the best and most realistic performance, which helps you as a director, helps the production. It gives actors something more realistic to perform to and respond to. Because I'm from the world of motion capture, of playing characters such as Legend of Tarzan, playing the apes and the lions, or in the new Marvel Ant-Man, playing some of the creatures, Marvel Eternals, video games. But my focus was about how can I bring the most realistic performance. And so this is one side. These are some of the rigs that we have that are more of the ones that are up in the top end range, should we say. And it was the most complicated one to try to get to work. And then once we figured it out, and the team at Target, and as well as the team at Portsmouth that I've also worked with, they figured it out, and this is why we've been able to do it. So everything I'm going to show you right now is going to be no cleanup. So what do I mean by no cleanup? For those that don't work in the industry, you would know, basically when it comes to cleanup, it means when you take the motion capture data you have somebody edit it to make it look nice and prim and clean for when you put it out. So we've done this raw. There might be a bit of clipping with their hands going through the legs because we were just trying to make it as realistic as possible. So the first thing that we're going to look at in the walk cycle is just a generic walk. And when I say generic walk, it means no character, side by side, and just walking just like this. Simple walk, side by side. And I've done one with the legs, one without. So the one on the right is with the legs, and the one on the left is without. If you just pause that. So just looking at the video from here, you can see with the creature that I have, already from just having the digi legs and doing a normal walk, it already gives me a nice gap in between my legs. Because you think about it, when you want to become a creature character, there's a difference between me being like this and me being like this. And then when you add sound, now if I go to that normal human body, it's not going to have the same effect. You understand? So you have to also understand that the physicality is very important as well as the sound. So I'm going to keep playing it, and so you can see from different angles. Even from the, oh, you see my little beautiful tail just swagging there and everything. Yes, I like it. And even with having the tail, it makes me know that there's something there, that there's something behind me. All right? So this is just walking from the different, and here's the side. And you can see the distance that I get from walking normally. There was no exaggeration in steps. I don't need to do that. Pause it right here, please. So now this next video is where I'm now in character. So the character means that I try to mimic or come up with an idea or a physicality that matches the creature. And all I did was put myself in a position where my hands were out, legs were bent. Now, without the leg extensions, I was on my toes. Because as you can see, most monsters, those that work in the industry, most monsters or fantasy characters seem to have digi legs, meaning they have a reverse knee. So for me as an actor, yes, I know that you can retarget my normal walk onto the character, but if I want to be able to embody the character even more, I'm going to try dig deep to get that physicality. So here we're going to do it. Now we're going to have both. The same thing, we can play it now and have both walks. And we're going to pause it right there. So when you're looking at the walks, and this character is very tall. Now, the benefits of having something like this means I am able to embody more into a character, and I'm also to provide weight to the mocap. Because if you play the video, keep playing the video, and you look on the left side, you can see the weight is not exactly the same. And I have to more exaggerate it when I have no legs. And bear in mind, I'm on the tip of my toes, so that can only last for a certain amount of minutes before it starts to burn off my calves. And then you can see, again, the distance that I get when I'm walking. And these are the things and reasons why I believe that these type of things mixed with VFX, mixed with motion capture and practical effects, and merging the two, rather than living in one side or the other side, can bring the best performance. Now, before I leave the stage, I want to know if there's somebody in the crowd that would like to do a little test. All right? And when I say a little test, because there is a way for us to engage in a physical performance where we can connect to creature and influence the audience to believe that what they are seeing is something different. Because the two main important aspects of playing a creature character that is different from human is one, the breath and the sound. The breath, the sound, and the weight, should I say. They're the most three important things that separate when you're playing a creature character compared to a human character. When you play something like a lawyer or a doctor, you don't think about my breath. Okay, how am I breathing? What type of breath am I having? Okay, how heavy am I? But when you're a creature character and when you're playing fantasy, you have to know the sound and the breath. Because like I said, if I just do this, it has nothing. But if I breathe and add sound, there's a difference. All right? So I want to know, is there anybody brave from the audience? Anybody brave from the audience? Yeah? Yeah? Here to come. Come through. You can come as well. Both of you. Both. All right. So here we have an actor, all right? And here we have somebody that's not an actor. Now, no, but let me tell you why it doesn't really matter. Because when it comes to acting as creature characters and fantasy characters, it's still subjective. It's very subjective because they're made up. No one can tell you that this is the right way to act like a zombie. Because, we don't have any zombies yet, but you know what I mean, all right? But when it comes to creature and fantasy characters, if you are willing to give yourself to becoming this character, to being it, to using your senses and forgetting about thinking, oh my God, this is who I am, people are watching me. No, because I have to try and influence the audience to believe that the sound and the physicality that I'm having is real. So we're just going to do two things. So you going to give me your all?
100%.
Are you ready to give your all?
I'll give it a go.
Okay. So we're just going to do 1, 2, 3 basic things. First, we're going to have a physicality. And all you're going to do is have your left foot forward just a little bit more, yeah? And turn a bit to the angle, just a little bit to the side. And you're going to bend down just a little bit and have your hands like this, all right? And all you're going to do is first, you're going to know your character's breath. So your character's breath is going to be quick. It's going to be... And you see, when you do it, can you see how naturally they go up and down? Now, all we're going to do is add a sound. And the sound could be anything you feel. It can be, it can be anything you feel. All right? So close your eyes. When you open your eyes, you will become your character, your creature. You must remain in it. You must be in it. You must feel and see that everybody that is out there is food. They're in your space. This is your food. So when I pat you on your back, what you're going to do is stay in your physicality. You're going to breathe and make your sound. In 3, 2, 1, go. And stop. And no, this wasn't like chosen before selected with this guy here, I'm telling you, yeah? And this is what I'm saying. It's all about you being within the character and giving yourself to it. Yes, when it comes to video games and certain things, there's certain logistics that you need to know and understand when it comes to mechanics, especially in video games. But when it comes to just being, it's all about you just accepting that this is what it is, forgetting the opinion, forgetting what you are, and just becoming. Guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, I just wanted to say thank you and definitely give a big thanks to Target 3D because without them, it was not possible. So please make some noise for Target 3D. And guys, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I'll see you guys after when we get drunk. Yeah. Thank you.
Ready? Okay. Are we having fun? I hope so, because that's the last performance. But on a serious note, we're going to redress the stage and get ready for the live Q&A with you guys. Whilst we do that, I just want to remind everyone about SMPTE's On-Set Virtual Production Initiative. It's a rapid industry solution of knowledge-based learnings that we're curating so we can have a tool set to deal with the complexities of on-set virtual production. So please do check it out. And if anyone, in fact, I challenge all of you after a few drinks to tell me and say what SMPTE means. And whilst we're sober, some of us might not be, I will remind you now, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. So I look forward to testing you on that challenge. And on a final note, whilst I have this break, I would like to dedicate this moment to a dear friend and mentor of mine, Edwards, from the Great British Camera Technician Guild. She was very dear to many of us, and she was a huge advocate for technicians in the industry, accessible pathways to training, stellar service. I think she touched a lot of our hearts, and I would like to remind everyone in the room who knows her that her legacy lives on in everyone she impacted. So thank you for coming, for those who knew Dee. And on that cheery note, but I think she would appreciate it. I think she's watching from above. So thank you, Dee, for believing in this showcase. Thank you, SMPTE, for hosting the showcase. And I've got two Bachelor partners to introduce to you this evening. The first guests I'm going to bring up are going to introduce themselves and what they've contributed to the show, because without everyone, especially these guys, none of this would be happening. So first and foremost, may I invite James Irwin from Moses to the stage? There you are, James. Thank you, sir.
Hi everyone, hello, hi, I'm James, I'm the Technical Director at Moses, and our contribution to this show that you've seen today has been the camera tracking system. So we make this thing called Star Tracker. You can see it hanging off the bottom of the camera here, and it tracks from these markers. They're on the floor today, but they can also go in the ceiling or actually built into the LED itself as well. And that's important because what you saw as the camera was moving is the perspective in the background changing. And that's, in order to do that, in order to get the correct perspective, we have to be able to track the camera very accurately. So that's our contribution.
Thank you very much. And my next special guest is Cesar Kakaris from Brompton Technology. He's a handsome one, isn't he?
Hi, hello everyone. So my name is Cesar Cáceres. I work in Brompton Technology as the product lead. And we are here really glad to be supporting SMPTE and bringing the LED processing and making sure that the content that you can see in the background, it is being as realistic as possible to make, so you can see the content that has been created with the most accuracy possible. And also to make sure that we are supporting the amazing talents that you have all seen at performing today, and ensure that the whole color, everything that you are seeing is going to be as with the best quality for your enjoyment.
I've been watching it back there, and I can confirm it's pretty good. Thank you very much. And I think you'll be excited about this guy because he's been highly praised by Ace, who I think we're all a big fan of. Please welcome Dan Munslow from Target 3D.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Dan Munslow from Target 3D, executive producer. So glad to be invited by SMPTE and Anna Valley and work with Ace from Creature Bionics to provide the motion capture volume there. We had 16 Prime X22 cameras in the volume, standard deviation head rig capturing his face, and some stretch sense fidelity gloves. And so glad it all went well.
Do you want a high five? It was great. Well done. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Matt Cowles from ETC.
Hi, so I'm Matt from ETC. We've supplied all of the lighting for today, so obviously you still need to light everything that's in the real world, everything in front of the volume, and you need to light that beautifully. So we've provided all of our full spectrum LED soft lights, some full spectrum LED hard lights, as well as all of these moving lights. And on top of that, we've also provided the control surface that allows us to not only turn the things on and off, but we can also manipulate the spectrum and the color depending on what we're shooting.
Thank you very much. And who doesn't like good lighting? I certainly do. Almost there. So next, I'm very excited about this one because he doesn't come out very often. We have Pete Kirkup from Disguise, ladies and gentlemen. The man, the legend.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Peter, and as we said, I'm from Disguise, so I'm the solutions director there, and Disguise is providing the volume control system, so that's the system that's driving the pixels to the LED processors, taking data from the MOSIS system for the tracking, talking to Unreal Engine and controlling that, and generally making sure that everything shines beautifully and makes the volume work all the way through the show, time-coded, whatever it happens to be that we're doing. That's Disguise.
Thank you. Thank you. And it has worked beautifully, Pete. Thank you. So last but not least for the first batch of special guests is Lee Davidson from, now before he comes on, I'd like to say Lee Davidson is from Solent University. I am from Solent University. Everyone put your hand up who's from Solent University. Yes, I see some. Thank you, alumni. So please welcome Lee to the floor.
Thank you very much for that introduction. So my name is Lee Davison. I'm the Associate Head of the Film and Media Department at Solent. Today, our contribution has been the live stream. So everybody watching at home, hello. We've got a 3-camera OB truck that's out the back there. We take it along to all different places and do things like this. So thank you, everybody in the crew, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And they have done a tremendous job, so thank you, Solent, because without you guys, we would not be streaming this globally. Okay, so now for the Q&A part of our showcase, I would like to invite the next batch of our key partners that made this happen. You've had some insight to them earlier already. First, I'd like to introduce Connor Ling from Framestore. Where are you, Connor? Yeah. Second, Michael McKenna from Final Pixel. This one's a mouthful. Mark Pilbara-Skinner from Garden Studios. Thank you for letting us in your humble abode. Okay, Ace, come on over. Ace Rule, thank you, from Creature Bionics, if you hadn't remembered that. And then we have Richard Graham, Epic Games, everyone. And last, this one's very close to my heart. She's becoming a dear friend, and she directed a lot of these performances. So please give a loud applause to Michelle Bernard from Lambda. Yeah, you're so sweet. Okay. Right, I probably should stand first and foremost. So who would like to ask our first question? I'm going to give you this to you in case so we can pass it down as and when we get. We have Martha and Ibrahim with mics. Any takers? Any questions? It can even be, what's my number? You got mine? Yes, you do. Okay. Is this a hand at the back? I think it is. Thank you, Martha. I love it. They're trapped.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
My question is, why is it that when the camera's moving, the background's moving behind the screen? I don't have the sense for why, but I'd be intrigued to know how that movement is defined and realised.
Who would like to take that one? I'll give you the mic if you like. That helps. Well done.
Hello? Oh, there we go, sorry. So the camera is being tracked to make sure that the background is accurate to the camera's perspective. So you've got the outer frustrum, which you'll hear frustrum quite a lot. The outer frustrum is used for lighting. So this might be placed in a position that the reflections and lighting need to be in reference to. So say a car. And then you'll have the inner frustrum, which is accurate to the camera's perspective. So from where you're standing, it might look slightly strange, but in the camera, and when you viewed it on the screens, everything is pixel perfect to the lens. So you may have heard no parallax point before, so in photogrammetry, this is basically where we're calculating to make sure that when the physical actors are in stage and the virtual, we can extend perfectly out into the virtual. Hopefully that answered your question.
Oh, we have another question behind you, Martha. There he is. I think it's a he.
Yeah, it is a he.
Good. Whew.
How long does it take to reset stuff if something breaks? You know, if you change your lens, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here to make it all work as pixel perfect as you said. How do you fix it when a light goes or a lens breaks or you stop the camera?
Hiya. That's a great question, and I'm going to give a very probably unsatisfying answer, because it really depends on what breaks and how much redundancy you've got on the system. Generally, the kind of rule of thumb we say is everything on a virtual production stage will generally be quicker to fix than if you're on location or on a normal set build. However, if you drop your camera lens and it cracks, you're probably still going to need to get a new one. You know, when it comes to relaunching scenes or changing lighting setups, it's almost instant or very, very quick. But it really depends on what's broken. I think it's probably the main part.
Okay, next question.
I was going to add to
Marco,
that.
behind you again. They're all behind you. Ibrahim, you might as well take the night off.
So, what do you believe is going to be the next evolution of this technology, and what we expect that we can handle even more and more, or expect even more and more from the technology for the next years?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're working very hard to make more and more complex scenes render at 24 frames a second. So it's not so much a revolution as like evolving the technology continually forward. Work to make scenes render on 2 GPUs in the same machine to speed up that process and basically allow you to have more and more geometric complexity in the scenes and more and more art direction, effectively, be able to add more and more to the scene and still hit 24 frames per second. There's also quite a lot of work being done, maybe more in broadcast, to run at really high frame rates and flash different content on the screens for different cameras in the scene, so that you can have, you know, you could have a multi-camera shoot. And as you might imagine, if in this scenario we had 2 cameras and we crossed the streams, one of the cameras would have to win. In a scenario where you can flash the screens at higher refresh rates, you wouldn't have that problem. So there's like developments happening in that area as well in broadcast.
So another really major thing that we're seeing happening is the physicality of these volumes is becoming better and better as technology improves across all of the vendors. Probably every single vendor sitting here would agree with me. Their roadmaps, the products that are coming to market, the features, the capabilities of the screens, the lights, the processing, the servers, all of that is making these volumes look better in camera. Better fidelity on the LED screens, better color rendition, better lighting setups, more customized. Ultimately, if you look back in the industry 3-4 years ago, virtual production was really a science project. And we're now getting to the point where these products are coming to market that have been specifically designed with virtual production in mind and have workflows and capabilities to truly deliver this. So I think the next couple of years are really exciting because it then becomes the hands of the creatives to make it look as good as possible with the aesthetics and the scenes that they're producing, and the technology is there to support that.
I do want to know, I'm going to pass it to Michelle afterwards because I know that she's got a point to add. Obviously, the in-camera and LED part is a part of virtual production, but it is an umbrella term, and there are a lot of other aspects in terms of like virtual scouting and virtual cameras. And one of the big innovations that will come over time, and I know that a lot of vendors are trying to achieve this, is how do you bring the data that you capture on set as quickly as possible out and back into your production so you can feed it back. So if you're doing stuff like pre-visualization and you're planning your shots before you land on set, it's how do we get that data as fit, as fast, and as efficient as possible, and provide that back to inform the shoot. So I think that space as well will only get quicker and more efficient and more accurate as well. I'm going to pass the mic to Michelle.
I want to talk not from a tech point of view, actually, but from a creative point of view. One of the reasons that we put the bid in for Lambda is that kind of we had an understanding that the tech was being used on really high spec shows. So, you know, we all know it's used on Mandalorian, Star Wars, 1899, those kind of big shows. But we were looking at where the gap is in the British film industry in terms of independent films and low budget features. And I think one of the things is at the moment the technology's been really expensive for people to hire. So what we've been looking at is how we create storytelling, kind of how we use the volume to tell stories on lower budget projects as well as those big budget projects, so that it kind of allows more storytellers to be able to use the technology. So for us, it's not, all of this is incredible and we can't do what we do in terms of telling stories without this technology. But what we're really excited about, and I think one of the big steps actually for the film industry, is that people who are making those, you know, we're so brilliant in the UK. We have our massive studio projects, but actually we also have like a very gritty film industry, right? But I think there's a space in between where imaginatively we don't necessarily go because there's a weird mid-market. And I think creatively, that's what we're really excited about at Lambda, that we can kind of empower those storytellers. You know, I think one of the things that we want to do is rent it out to kind of makers at that mid-level who might be making a second feature, who can't afford the 15, 20 grand a day price tag, but can afford something slightly less. So for me, that's a really big jump, possibly, that we can be making as an industry, and how we can kind of help the British film industry to move. So I just wanted to add that kind of not tech point.
Thank you, Michelle.
I have one non-tech point to make as well, which is that I think there's a big gap, a big knowledge gap at the moment in virtual production. And from our side, from the vendors and manufacturers' side, we can help to close that gap by making the technology easier to use, making it integrate better with other technologies and all those kinds of things. But we also need to help from the other side of the knowledge gap by training and enabling institutions like Lambda to use these technologies, and we're really committed to that on the manufacturing side.
Yeah, I'm just going to add that with the content creation side, I think photorealism is what we're really striving for in a lot of these shoots, and with Unreal 5.1, we've seen that come along quite a fair way. But we're also looking at, other ways of putting content on the screen. We may use video plates at times, and then we also may use still images or 2.5D images. And I think that's the sort of next evolution of this, is the different ways of creating content that can go on this wall. There's many different, solutions to that. And the more that are kind of easily accessible to, places like Lambda, the more that we'll see more people use virtual production. We've been working with an artificial intelligence-based system recently, which is creating content, essentially instantly. They can go into 2.5D on the wall. It's got a bit to go, but you can see things like that where you're able to create the backgrounds that are high fidelity in a very quick way for certain productions. That's going to make this more accessible and more interesting, I think, for storytellers, and democratize it further, which is exactly what I think Lambda are trying to do.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, just to add to that, that's something that's very close to Garden Studio's heart, is making sure that we've got innovation and training and democratization for everyone. We've been very lucky to deliver, I think, about 80 plus shoots in the last 2 years. We've been open as a VP stage, and that's been across everything from advertising, short feature films, parts of much larger productions. And something we've seen is, there's all these crews that really want to use VP, but they're just a little bit afraid of it because they don't know what's possible. And people were taking the risk 2-3 years ago. Now we're starting to see more people that it's their first time, or it's their second time, or it's their third time. And by working with all of these different productions, and now we've opened up our training stages, and we've got multiple other VP stages, it means that those slightly smaller ones that are more accessible for people like the Met Film School, our other education partners, has just meant that we can keep the UK being such a powerful centre of storytelling and filmmaking by making it accessible to everyone. It's something that I think everyone on this panel is really excited about.
Caesar, did you have
Yeah, I was going to highlight as well that, I mean, obviously, and that's why everybody is talking, video is an amazing technology. It's evolving. It's always evolving, always growing, right? And that's why everybody has something to say about innovation. But at the end, what we are trying to do, to your point, is just make sure that we enable the maximum flexibility to creatives to do what they need to do, to be able to, to represent what we have been doing in real life, but with all the imagination, without the limits of physics or anything like this. And everybody together is working to make that happen in front of a camera and not distract from the actual performance. So everything looks more natural and the audience can just enjoy it.
Do we have any? Yes, we've got lots of questions now. Crikey, look at that. Thank you, Martha.
Hello. So, from what I can see, everything's being generated in real time. And with such a photorealistic background, what's the actual hardware requirements to render that?
Yeah, so from the Disguise system perspective, we're hosting Unreal Engine 5.1 on our RX render nodes, and we're using a technology that we call cluster rendering that allows us to group together a number of those nodes to contribute to the overall render. So in this case, I think we're using all 3 of the render nodes we have here for this scene, and we're contributing to the out frustum that Connor referred to a minute ago, the in frustum, which is the camera frustum, and also the reflection panels that you may or may not have noticed are in front of us that are also there for providing lighting. So that's all grouped together. Those RX, we've got the RX2s here. They've got a NVIDIA A6000 GPU in them, so they're very, very powerful render pathways. But we can scale up and down that render power as needed for productions, and depending on the scale of the volume, depending on aesthetics that you're trying to achieve.
Next question.
Hello there. So I'm going to be a little bit greedy. My question's a two-parter, but hopefully it'll give you some leverage to explain a few things. So my first question is, with regards to the LED volume, you've already demonstrated that you can change lighting very quickly, and you can move the scene around. And we've, for those people who have seen demos, we've seen that. Where's the limitation of what you can do on set? And those things that you have to decide up front. So, for example, if I was a director and said, I wanted twice the density of the trees in there, or I wanted more cars or more people, what are the things in stone that you have to set before production, and what are the things that are flexible on stage? The second part of my question is, so this is a great technology, and the possibilities are almost endless. So is this a magic bullet that means that we can film everything in the volume? Or where is the volume best used, and where would you, I know you obviously want to encourage people to shoot on the volume, you might have an interest in that, but you also don't want people shooting on the volume where it's not right, so because they would get frustrated with it. So where would you advise people that actually going to the location is a better example? Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for your question. It's a great point, and as you said, I mean, a lot of people assume it is a silver bullet, and you can shoot everything in a volume, and obviously, as we know, that's not necessarily the case. Certain setups will work best. As the technology develops more and more, we might close that gap on some of the things that struggle a little bit. We are working with, when you work and innovate on the edge of technology, there are always things that potentially you reach the limits, right? And there's definitive, things you have to work around within the LEDs, or when, as you said, I mean, when the content is this high fidelity, we have to be careful of performance and stuff like that. So there are just certain things that work better. Generally, mid-level light works really nice. So if you go with a sunset or a sunrise, if you go for really harsh lighting, the LEDs are only able to emit a certain amount of light, and you're not able to replicate the sun. So anything where you're trying to replicate that can be quite difficult. And that's where it becomes a blend of physical light, and then as well as the LED light. So the volume realistically is a really nice ambient lighting source, and it can work really, really well in that. But then you do need to have the practical lights as well, which is why this whole technology really fits well into production rather than replacing it. I think it's really important that, and there's a lot of hesitancy with it, because people feel like, this technology is going to get rid of my job, or it's going to disrupt my workflow, and that's not at all how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to inject into that and really, merge well into the film production. Now, the first question was about limitations on set, right, and flexibility in what you can achieve. Now, there are certain things in terms of a VAD build, so a virtual art department, that can be taken into account. So if you need a variation of, say, trees for the forest environment that we know that we're going to potentially want to set dress on set, then we can have that ready and sat to the side, and we can dress it along with the DOP. Typically, though, you would move more down a virtual scouting route for that. So you would put on a VR headset or a camera, and you would go in and get a feel of the environments that you can place and set out before we land on set. As anybody knows that's on film, time is money. Anytime you're burning time, producers are going to be on you, rightly so. So we try and remove all of that into the pre-production process rather than on set. However, there's going to be certain things that, depending on the complexity of the scene, you might be limited. So you might have, as Rich mentioned earlier, there might be more complex scenes where you're having to bake the light, i.e. it's pre-computed, so for performance, because it's a really complex lighting setup. Thankfully, with Lumen in 5.1, that's less and less common. But you might have to go with that, which then means that changing the light, if it's a small spotlight in the background or heavy light, that might be a little bit harder, or there might be other things that are just a little bit more set in stone. And it's not really a linear answer of where you can say, this you can do in volume and this you can't. But the whole point of it really is real time, right? So we should be able to adjust almost anything. And almost like that, really. These systems are incredibly quick, so we really can do a lot of things. I'd say it's very minimal.
I'll just speak to the question about how much prep you have to do. You definitely don't want to undercook the prep that you do going into this, because effectively you're building your entire environment, and this environment is obviously way, way bigger than any set you could ever build. And you have the opportunity to design every aspect of it. So the first time you see the environment, it should not be when you first step onto, when your director first steps onto a set. There needs to be a really tight feedback loop between production design, cinematography, and the virtual art department, designing the environments and reviewing them, as Connor says, in VR or with a virtual camera before coming to the stage. Also doing stuff like virtual pre-lighting beforehand, so being able to, as a cinematographer, see the content on a virtual wall, on a computer screen, and throw your physical lights into that space and think about how you would actually augment the light coming from the wall, because, as mentioned, it can't do a punchy hard source, so how are you going to solve that? So yes, you have to prepare really well when you're doing this, but as everyone said, there are still many things that you can change and adjust on the day. The more of those that you plan for ahead, the better. And just to kind of illustrate that point, I was going to throw to the Brain Bar team and ask them to change the time of day now to evening and then nighttime. So if I could ask for that, if that can happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is Lumen just updating the lighting in the scene. And then if we can scrub forward again. And then, yeah. Now, obviously, we've got to completely re-rig all the practical lights. But nevertheless, you can update the lighting in the scene behind you very, very quickly. And then there's also some weather that will play in over the back, rather ominous weather that will play in over the back of us as we sit here.
I'll just speak to... Hello, there we go. I'll just speak to your second point then as well. So sort of what's suitable and what isn't. And I think there's kind of some rough rules of, you're limited by the size of your volume, how wide you want to go on the shot, the amount of set that you have to dress. But I think for us, what it actually comes down to is what type of thing you're shooting and what your production is. When we've done, about half of the jobs we've done have been adverts, and generally that's a 2-3 day turnaround time. They want to do 5 locations. They're shooting everything on the volume. And some scenes might not be as suitable, but it's effective for them, and it's what works for their budget and their schedule. As you start going into feature films or series, you then start looking at the script and seeing where is it appropriate and where it isn't. It's not a magic bullet. It's a wonderful tool that can really help accelerate your production, but it's not for everything. The example we love speaking about at Garden Studios is we had Toast of Tinseltown come here and do their entire most recent season with us. They did 8 weeks on our sound stages doing their traditional set builds. They went on location for a week and they built a big desert town because they need to build a big desert town. And then they came to our virtual production stage for a week and they did 3 days of driving scenes with plates that were captured in LA by a local crew, sent to us. got a big lowrider car in, shot everything, and then for 2 days we took them to Death Valley because they weren't able to go there safely or cheaply. And so by looking at the overall production schedule and the budget, that's where you decide where is this most effective. And to me, that's, I think, one of the best things about VP, is using it in the best manner possible.
Any more questions? Yes, I see actually two. I see. Where's my mic, people?
Hi, sorry, I sort of have a two-parter. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I suppose I have a question for Lambda in regards to like Creature Bionics and Target 3D, who I can't see any of you, but how do you kind of feel about the technology? You know, what does this, just particularly the motion capture side of things, you know, what does this kind of mean for you in terms of an acting school? What can you kind of do with this and what do you make of it really? And then I guess I have a question for Creature Bionics and Target 3D about what are your kind of biggest limitations at the moment with the industry? And if there's anything you could kind of say to a room of people in the industry, kind of what do you need from us, I guess? Thank you.
Okay, so I think in terms of training, so as we said earlier, we kind of train actors, but we also train technicians. And I think the technician training that we have is a really broad technician training. So we train people in lights and sound. We're not a film school. You know, we train people, so they have really broad skills. And I just think that the volume and mocap technology and technicians understanding that and having a really clear but basic understanding that they can take into the industry is really useful, knowing where it's useful, where it's not. I think in terms of the movement training, you know, conservatoire drama school training, the movement training is really strong. It's a huge part of the training. It's a third of all of the learning. So in terms of kind of the basic training, I think it's like with actor training. You don't change the basic actor training for an actor to work on the volume. The same principles apply, right? So I think that we will... The basic training will stay the same. I think giving students in this day and age digital assets that they can leave with so that they can kind of leave saying, yes, this is me in my T-pose, this is me walking across a space, this is me kind of working. I think that's really important because I think that it gives casting directors and crew a kind of real sense of safety in recent graduates. I think it also, you know, we don't just... People who leave drama school don't necessarily go on to become actors. They become writers, makers, technicians, directors. They change direction. They become creatives. And this just gives them that real sense of like, do you know what? I can step anywhere. And I think that's what's really exciting for us. So, you know, we'll use the digital assets. I think we'll look for partnerships. If people want to come to us and say, we've got this project that we want to work on over the next 2 years, then we'll be like, that sounds great. Let's see how we can work that into the syllabus. I think, you know, already Target 3D have given us and our movement team some training so that we have basic understanding. And that's going to grow over the next few years. We're not going to stop learning. And I think that's the same with everything, right? You don't stop learning. So, and that's like we're trying to encourage lifelong learning in all of our students. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I think that's kind of where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah, going off what was just said, to be honest, when it comes to motion capture, I feel like, and the way that everything is going, moving forward, one question that always gets asked is like, do you feel like actors are going to be out of work? Are you going to be out of a job and stuff in the sense of, because of new technology, and I never believed that because there's always going to be people, especially with mocap, because when it comes to video games, film is one thing, but when it comes to video games, there's a lot of things in regards to like video games mechanics and using locomotion and stuff where you can buy assets and you can buy stuff that does, and you know, with AI now, it could probably, you know, have a particular walk in the future from a particular character, but there's still that essence of that realness that comes from an actor. So, you know, even like, with the creature, even though I could have done it myself normally, but I added some more realism to it by having the mechanical. So it's not the thing that, oh, you can survive without it, but it's the thing that we still have that essence in us as human beings that bring that realness that nothing else can ever really bring. That true weight, that breath, the way you react to things, that's always going to be within us. And I think that when it comes to where we're going and everything we're doing, it's just being open to learn. And there's nothing that you really need to change in regards to motion capture when it comes to the acting side. The only difference between the normal way of acting and mocap. What I would say is the video game and just learning the techniques, which is like dance. I could call it as dance. And again, there's certain things you might have to emphasize depending on what kind of character you're playing, you know, breath, your movement, because the data may not pick it up. But essentially having that acting behind you and having that as your core, as well as being able to open up to what else might be out there, is good enough. And in regards to like Creature Bionics, for us, it's that we work towards creating all of these training in regards to creatures and fantasy characters. We do a lot of training like arm extensions and creature character development. Again, it's still subjective, but for me, there's a base that people can use, because even with acting, there's so many, people have different techniques. But for me, realistically, it's about, at its core, it's about, am I going to convince the audience what I am doing is real? Can they buy into it? Do they believe in it? And how you find that is how you find that. And that's what I believe on my side.
Yeah, I want to say one tiny thing to add to that. Drama school students notoriously leave drama school and go and work in a pub, right? I worked in a pub, I worked in Gap, I worked at Liberty, I worked in another pub in between acting jobs. If I left knowing the worth of my skill, you know, and where it could be used, then I might not have worked in a pub for so long. So I think the other thing is just training people in the skill that they're learning and what that's worth and where it fits in. So that's, you know, it's just that knowledge base that's important.
Yeah, nice. I'll probably just reiterate what you've just said, but I guess at Target 3D we're a bit like Anna Valley, where we try to invite everyone down and try and use the tools. Obviously with Unreal allowing us to have this sort of access to software, and we were just running a 6000 GPU to the screen today in real time to drive the character, which is an inexpensive character. Which just, there's two sides of it. There's one, there's a performance side to allow actors and things, you know, to be able to embody these characters. But also on the technical side, we realize that there aren't enough people with the skills to actually run these studios. So, you know, we look into that side a lot and try and reach out. We do performance capture workshops, but also technical training. And yeah, I think it's just an exciting place to be at the moment, really, for people to come and able to make animation films inexpensively, or and coming away from a lot of the keyframe animation. People are coming away from that and actually using motion capture, performance capture to drive characters. Yeah, I think it's just exactly what you've said, but you know, yeah.
And I just want to add one more thing, especially for actors, because I come from the acting perspective, is, listen, man, all of this stuff that you see, like, go download Unreal. Go on YouTube and start to learn. Because I'm in the world of mocap, I realize, and I have my own mocap system, I realize, like, I need to understand more. You know what I'm saying? And I ask Target 3D questions all the time, like, what's going on here? Why are we doing this? What's that? Why that? When I'm on set, I do the same thing. And now that we are in a space where you guys can create your own branding, you can create your own work. Because the work that I've created for myself, I'll just be honest, is because I created a particular type of content. I put it out on LinkedIn. Great place if you're for mocap. I put it out on LinkedIn, particular type of content. So stuff like, I made videos like creature animation reference videos of different walk cycles using arm extensions. I looked on YouTube, there was nobody doing it. And then I went to Unreal, and obviously with the character, I was able to tell Target 3D, I think this character will work because there's bones in the tail. So it's going outside the box. If you really want to get into that virtual world, there's so much content on YouTube where you can learn and email and ask people. Don't be afraid, because when you start doing that, you start opening. So imagine you as an asset right now. Imagine you're a trained actor. Boom, you've got that. And imagine you can understand 10% of Unreal. And you understand just the mocap side, because Unreal there's so much to it. But for me, now that I know how to retarget or I know how to put a mocap data onto a character, that gives me makes me understand certain things more. And if I don't understand it, there's people that I know I can message. So it's just stepping outside of that box. And the more that you want to do, the more you want to learn, especially in video games. Actors that want to get into video games, please play a video game. Because it's like saying you want to be a film actor and you've never watched film. So play a video game, see how they move, see and understand that and get that type of knowledge. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to add that 2 pence to it.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap the Q&A. And before we do, I just want to thank some people, personally and professionally. I'm going to start off with James Bennett, our official media sponsor at Televisual, for taking also part in the interactive demonstration with Ace. Very brave. Unplanned. I've alluded to Michelle already, but I'd also like to thank Amy, Ross, and John at Lambda for really putting on a show, guys. Thank you. For Buffy, our cinematographer. Julian White and Matt, our gaffers for the show. Elise and Maya from costume and production design, to which made a great show. And to thank our audience who are watching this globally. I know we can't see you, but hello and welcome, and thank you for listening. And for anyone that's taking photography or videos, if you're uploading that on social media, please hashtag SMPTE VP Showcase. I think the live stream audience might appreciate the footage that you're getting that they can't see firsthand, so thank you. So before we enjoy, or you guys enjoy more wine and cheese, I haven't had any yet, or cheese or wine, whatever your order preference is, I would like to invite our performers and those involved in the production to come on set for a live, big thank you photo. You can come. Please do, please do. Yeah. Yeah. Well done, guys! Thank you.